Elena pushed a strand of dark hair from her face as the quantum computer processed another batch of Vraxian communications. The isolation of her underground lab had begun to wear on her, but she preferred it to the chaos above. On the surface, the world's governments oscillated between preparations for surrender and futile military posturing. Dr. Reyes. The voice startled her. Lieutenant Sarah Okafor stood in the doorway, her UEDF uniform crisp despite the circumstances. General Williams requests your presence at the War Council. Elena suppressed a groan. The general made his opinion of my theories quite clear last time. Things have changed, Sarah said, her expression grim. The Vraxians just obliterated. A Mars outpost, 2,000 colonists, no warning. The War Council chamber hummed with tense energy as tactical displays showed the advancing Vraxian fleet. General Williams, his weathered face haggard from sleepless nights, acknowledged Elena with a curt nod. Dr. Reyes, I'm told you believe you found a vulnerability in our enemy. Elena connected her tablet to the main display. Not a conventional weakness, General, a cognitive one. She pulled up comparative language structures. Their communication patterns reveal rigid thought processes unlike anything we've seen. They process information linearly, without capacity for certain types of abstraction or contradiction. She displayed a simple image that contained an optical illusion. Humans can see either two faces or a vase in this image, switching between interpretations at will. Based on my analysis, Vraxians physiologically cannot hold these dual perceptions. Simultaneously, their minds demand absolute certainty, perfect consensus. Admiral Chen, who had been silent until now, leaned forward. You're suggesting psychological warfare. I'm suggesting their greatest strength is also their greatest vulnerability, Elena replied. Their perfect unity and order makes them extraordinarily efficient, but catastrophically vulnerable to certain cognitive frameworks that humans navigate effortlessly every day. Such as, Williams asked, skepticism evident in his voice, paradoxes, contradictions, metaphors, quantum superpositions. The fundamental uncertainty principles our scientists have understood for centuries. Elena pulled up a simulated Vraxian neural pattern. Their minds literally cannot process these concepts without experiencing what we might call cognitive pain. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. It was Admiral Chen who finally spoke. You're proposing we fight them not with kinetic weapons, but with ideas. Ideas they evolved without the capacity to defend against, Elena confirmed. While we've been adapting to chaos and uncertainty for our entire evolutionary history, General Williams studied the data, his expression shifting from skepticism to cautious interest. Even if you're right, how do we weaponize this? Elena's tablet displayed a preliminary framework for Project Pandora. We create communication viruses carrying cognitive structures that exploit these vulnerabilities. Their rigid minds will attempt to process these ideas, creating cascading disruptions in their decision-making capabilities. This is unorthodox, Williams admitted. So is facing extinction, General, Elena replied quietly. Conventional warfare against their technological superiority is suicide, but this approach leverages the one advantage they cannot counter, the fundamental difference in how our minds work. As she finished speaking, the emergency klaxon sounded. A junior officer burst into the room. Sir, Vraxian ships have entered Earth orbit. They're positioning for bombardment. Williams met Elena's eyes. Doctor, you have 24 hours to prove your theory. After that, I don't think humanity will have much choice left. Commander Chen crouched behind the rusted remains of a mining vehicle as crimson energy pulses sizzled overhead. The Uluru Basin, once Australia's premier rare earth extraction site, had become an unlikely battleground. Beside him, Captain Layla, Gamara adjusted her tactical display. 3rd Squadron reports successful ambush at Grid Point Theta, she whispered. 17 Vraxian ground troops neutralized, 0 human casualties. Chen nodded, studying the holographic terrain map projected from his wrist device. Their reinforcements will arrive in exactly 12 minutes. Their timing never varies. It's almost unfair, Layla remarked with grim humor. They're so predictable a first-year cadet could anticipate their movements. That predictability had become humanity's lifeline. 3 weeks into the ground invasion, human forces had identified the rigid patterns governing Vraxian military doctrine. Their tactics never adapted. Their formations never varied. Their response times remained constant regardless of terrain or circumstances. What should have been an overwhelming alien victory had instead become a grinding stalemate. "Command, this is Recon Team Echo," a voice crackled through Chen's earpiece. "We've captured intact Vraxian communication equipment, transmitting visuals now." The holographic display shifted to show the alien technology, sleek, organic-looking devices with crystalline interfaces. Chen's eyes narrowed as he studied the unfamiliar components. "Secure it and fall back to extraction point Delta," he ordered. "Dr. Reyes's team will want this immediately." The mention of Elena brought a flood of mixed emotions. Their history together was complicated, a relationship fractured by divergent career paths and the pressures of military life. Now they found themselves unlikely partners in humanity's desperate bid for survival. Her cognitive warfare theories had initially seemed far-fetched, but the evidence was mounting that she had identified something profound about their enemy. "Movement at perimeter sensor 8, Layla warned, interrupting his thoughts. Chen refocused instantly, switching his tactical display to thermal imaging. The Vraxian patrol moved in perfect formation, equidistant spacing, synchronized movements, unwavering attention to their designated observation sectors. Textbook efficiency that should have made them unbeatable. "Notice how they never check the maintenance tunnels," Chen whispered. "Their tactical doctrine classifies them as non-viable combat vectors because of their narrow dimensions. Their loss," Layla replied with a predatory smile. Chen activated his secure channel. "All units, execute Operation Labyrinth." Across the basin, hidden hatches opened in the dusty ground. Human fighters emerged silently from maintenance tunnels the Vraxians had dismissed as strategically irrelevant. They struck from impossible angles, exploiting blind spots in the aliens' rigid tactical awareness. In his command bunker later that night, Chen reviewed the day's engagement data. Human casualties, 3 wounded, none killed. Vraxian losses, 48 ground troops, 2 support vehicles. Another impossible victory against overwhelming technological superiority. His secure tablet chimed with an incoming transmission from UEDF headquarters. Elena's face appeared on the screen, excitement evident despite her exhaustion. "Jackson, we've done it," she said, using his first name for the first time since their reunion. "Project Pandora prototype is ready for field testing. You're captured. Communication equipment confirmed my final hypothesis." "How soon can you deploy?" he asked. Elena's eyes gleamed with fierce determination. 24 hours. Then we'll see if we can break their perfect minds as effectively as you've broken. "Their perfect formations," Chen nodded. "We'll be ready." The stealth station orbiting Europa was nearly invisible against the icy moon's striated surface. Inside the cramped command center, Elena monitored the deployment of Project Pandora with intense concentration. Her team of linguists, neuroscientists, and information warfare specialists worked in focused silence, the gravity of their task evident in their expressions. "Transmission channels secure," reported Dr. Mikhail Volkov, his fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. Vraxian fleet encrypted communications successfully infiltrated. Elena nodded, feeling the weight of billions of lives resting on her theory. "Begin primary sequence." The first wave of Pandora transmissions launched toward the Vraxian fleet, seemingly standard communication packets that contained carefully engineered cognitive traps. These were not computer viruses in the traditional sense, but something far more insidious, thought viruses designed specifically for Vraxian neural architecture. First uptake confirmed, called out Lieutenant Diaz, monitoring alien communication patterns. They're processing the data packages. On the main display, a strategic map showed the massive Vraxian armada engaging Admiral Yamamoto's forces near Jupiter. The human fleet was outnumbered 5-1, yet executing complex, evasive patterns that confounded the aliens' targeting. Systems. Anomalous behavior detected in Vraxian command ship Delta 7, Diaz reported suddenly. Communication patterns showing fragmentation. They're repeating the same orders with conflicting parameters. Elena leaned forward, adrenaline surging. That's it. Their neural networks are trying to resolve the paradoxical structures we embedded. Show me more data. The effects cascaded through the Vraxian fleet with stunning rapidity. Ships that had maintained perfect formation for months suddenly broke ranks. Communication channels that had maintained disciplined protocols descended into chaotic crosstalk. Weapon systems powered down mid-targeting sequence as command centers became unable to maintain the perfect consensus required for military action. It's working better than we projected, Mikhail whispered, awe in his voice. Their entire command structure is experiencing cognitive cascade failure. Elena watched the unfolding chaos with a mixture of scientific fascination and somber reflection. We're not attacking their bodies or their ships, she said quietly. We're attacking the foundations of how they think. A secure channel opened, showing Commander Chen's face from the captured Vraxian cruiser. Elena, whatever you're doing, keep it up. The Vraxian prisoners are experiencing something they call mind fracture. They can't maintain unified thought and processes. The next phase should be even more effective, she replied. We're introducing self-referential paradoxes directly into their tactical displays now. On the main monitor, the battle had transformed from a desperate last stand into something unprecedented. Vraxian ships drifted aimlessly or fired upon their own allies. Some simply powered down all systems, their crews apparently incapacitated by cognitive dissonance. Admiral Yamamoto's voice came through the command channel. Dr. Reyes, requesting permission to advance through the compromised enemy formation. We have a clear path to their command ship. Proceed, Admiral, Elena confirmed. But remember, our goal isn't annihilation. We need them capable of understanding defeat. As humanity's counteroffensive advanced through the disarrayed Vraxian fleet, Elena contemplated the profound implications of what they had discovered. Their greatest weapon hadn't been destructive firepower, but something far more powerful. The introduction of human cognitive frameworks into minds that had never evolved the capacity to process them. Commence Phase 3, she ordered, her voice steady with newfound certainty. Let's show them how humans think when we decide to win. Beneath the crystalline dome of the council chamber, Intelligent Sovereign Mex Terral reviewed the latest security protocols for the quarantine zone. The holographic barrier displayed countless automated defense platforms positioned strategically around Sol system, a cosmic cage designed to contain what many Vraxians now referred to as the human contagion. The surveillance network will alert us to any attempted breakthrough, she explained, her voice carrying the harmonics that indicated absolute certainty, a tone that had become increasingly rare in council proceedings. No vessel can penetrate the quarantine without triggering multiple redundant alert systems. War Sovereign Dex Kaloth chittered his mandibles in skepticism. Your certainty is admirable, but misplaced. You assured us humans could not defeat our Jupiter defense fleet, yet here we are, implementing containment protocols instead of acceptance of their surrender. First speaker Vorthax raised a clawed hand for silence. Recrimination serves no purpose. We face an unprecedented threat, a species whose cognitive patterns defy all established models of intelligent development. The ancient Vraxian's compound. Eyes shifted to display anxiety patterns. The question before us is whether containment is sufficient or if more permanent measures are required. The implication hung heavy in the chamber. In its 4-millennium history, the Empire had only twice authorized the complete sterilization of a planetary system. Such an action would violate the most sacred tenets of the Galactic Compact. But the spread of human cognitive patterns threatened something far worse than mere military defeat. It threatened the very foundations of Vraxian civilization. I have authorized expanded research into human neural architecture, Science Sovereign Ziv Korax announced, projecting a detailed scan of a human brain. Preliminary findings suggest their cognitive chaos may be the result of evolutionary pressures we cannot fully comprehend. Their planet's extreme environmental instability appears to have selected for minds capable of functioning amid uncertainty. Minds that can entertain contradictory concepts simultaneously without experiencing neural collapse. Can this ability be neutralized? Dex Kaloth asked, his warrior's pragmatism evident. Zivkorax's mandibles clicked in the pattern, indicating reluctant negative response. Not without fundamental genetic restructuring of their species. Their neural plasticity is encoded across thousands of genetic markers. It would require generations of selective modification. Mextaral stepped forward again. There is another concern. Our analysis indicates a high probability that humans have already reverse-engineered our faster-than-light technology. The quarantine may delay, but cannot prevent their eventual expansion. Silence fell across the chamber as the council absorbed this grim assessment. For an empire built on perfect prediction and control, the humans represented something profoundly disturbing. A variable that could not be calculated, a species whose actions defied algorithmic forecasting. First speaker. Vorthax finally broke the silence. Increase quarantine patrols by 300%. Accelerate research into countermeasures against human cognitive warfare. And, he paused, his ancient eyes dimming slightly, begin contingency planning for the eventuality that humans may breach containment. As the council adjourned, none of the 7 supreme leaders noticed the microscopic anomaly in their communication systems, a subtle pattern of code that recorded and transmitted their deliberations to a location far beyond their awareness. In the hidden facility beneath Earth's Pacific Ocean, Elena and Chen watched the Vraxian leaders debate humanity's fate, their expressions grim but determined. "We have less time than we thought," Chen observed. "They're considering planetary sterilization." Elena's gaze shifted to the viewing portal, where the Pandora's hope waited in its birth. "Then we'd better ensure our mission succeeds on the first attempt. There won't be a second chance." Lieutenant Maya Chen moved cautiously through the crystalline corridors of the Nesdali Central Hive, accompanied by Dr. Amit Sharma. The translucent walls pulsed with bioluminescent patterns, the visible manifestation of the Nesdali's collective. Consciousness flowing through their architecture, 2 crystalline beings glided silently alongside them, their faceted bodies refracting light in hypnotic patterns. Their entire society functions as a unified organism, Amit whispered, his neurological scanner recording the ambient thought patterns. The Vraxians didn't need to conquer them individually, they simply had to implant their control protocols into the collective. Maya nodded, her eyes trained on the scanner's readings. As Commander Chen's daughter, she had inherited his tactical instincts, but her fascination with xenopsychology had led her down a different path than her father's military career. Now that divergence had made her uniquely qualified for humanity's most critical diplomatic mission. "The implanted thought structures are there," she said, pointing to recurring patterns in the data. "See how they create hard boundaries in what should be fluid thought transitions? It's like finding perfect geometric shapes in a river current." They reached the central thought chamber, a vast cavern where thousands of crystalline spires converged into a pulsating nexus of light and color. The Nesdali Elder, distinguishable only by subtle iridescent patterns on its crystalline form, awaited them at the center. "We have observed your request," the Elder communicated, its thoughts manifesting as harmonized vibrations. "You wish to share concepts with our collective. This is unprecedented. No species has offered exchange of thought patterns before. All have sought only to impose." Maya stepped forward, activating the modified Project Pandora interface she had developed specifically for Nesdali cognition. "We offer these concepts freely. You may examine them and choose whether to incorporate them into your collective understanding." The interface projected a carefully curated sequence of human cognitive frameworks, starting with simple concepts like individual variation within unity, then progressing to more complex ideas like the value of diverse perspectives, the creative potential of controlled disagreement, and finally, the fundamental human concept of self-determination within community. The thought chamber erupted with cascading colors as the concepts rippled through the collective consciousness. Spires that had pulsed in perfect synchronization for centuries began exhibiting distinct rhythms and patterns. The Elder's crystalline form vibrated with intensity as it processed these alien ideas. These concepts, they create complexity where there was uniformity, the Elder communicated, its thought patterns displaying both distress and fascination. "You show us that unity need not mean sameness, that harmony can emerge from diversity rather than conformity." Amit's scanner displayed unprecedented neural activity throughout the Hive network. "It's working," he whispered to Maya. "The rigidity in their thought patterns is dissolving. They're breaking free of the Vraxian constraints without losing their essential connectedness." Over the next hours, the transformation accelerated beyond their expectations. Crystalline spires throughout the colony began emitting new light frequencies never before observed. Individual Nesdali developed distinct thought patterns while maintaining their connection to the collective. And most significantly, the implanted Vraxian control structures dissolved as the hive mind discovered a new paradigm, unity through diversity rather than conformity. As they returned to the Pandora's Hope, Maya contacted Captain Mendoza. "Mission successful beyond projections," she reported. "The Nesdali are experiencing a cognitive revolution, and they're requesting something unprecedented." "What's that?" Mendoza asked. "They want to join us, not as subjects or even allies, but as partners in spreading cognitive liberation throughout the Empire." First Speaker Vorthax stared in disbelief at the tactical display as reports of simultaneous rebellions flooded in from across the Empire. The sacred chamber, designed for perfect acoustics to facilitate consensus, now echoed with discordant updates that defied coordination. "Korthal mining colonies in the Rigel sector have ceased all production," reported a trembling adjutant, his scales pale with distress. "The methane breathers are dismantling our atmospheric processes and repurposing them as—" he hesitated, "as what they call community decision forums. The silicon-based Lithosians have evolved a new communication frequency our translators cannot process." Another voice called out. "They appear to be reorganizing their crystal formations to resemble human neural networks." War Sovereign Dexkaloth slammed his armored claw against the ancient table, cracking its polished surface. "This cannot stand. Deploy the 9th Purification. Fleet to the Nesdali homeworld. Their rebellion has gone too far. Make an example of them. The 9th Fleet is unavailable," Intelligent Sovereign Mex Tarl replied, her voice uncharacteristically hesitant. Upon engaging the Nesdali defense forces, half our ships ceased responding to commands. The remainder are reporting conceptual contamination among their crews. In the Himalayan command center, Elena monitored the cascading rebellion with quiet satisfaction. The holographic display showed uprising hotspots spreading across the galactic map like a beautiful constellation of resistance. Major Chen stood beside her, his weathered face illuminated by the display's glow. The Vraxians never considered that their perfect empire was perfect only for them, Elena observed. Every species they conquered had its own unique cognitive abilities suppressed to fit the Vraxian pattern. We've simply shown them alternatives. Chen nodded, studying the incoming tactical data. The Nesdali crystalline communication network is proving remarkably effective at transmitting Project Pandora concepts. Their distributed consciousness spreads ideas faster than the Vraxians can contain them. And the Korthal atmospheric adaptation skills have allowed them to modify their environmental systems to broadcast cognitive liberation patterns, Elena added. It's a beautiful example of emergence, each species finding its own way to break free using its unique evolutionary advantages. Their moment of reflection was interrupted by an urgent alert. The massive holographic display shifted to show a new Vraxian fleet formation, assembling beyond Neptune's orbit, the largest concentration of Imperial firepower ever recorded. "They're coming for Earth," Chen said grimly. 9,000 warships, including the Imperial Dreadnought. The Council of Seven themselves are commanding this assault. Elena turned to face the gathered defense coordinators, her expression calm, despite the overwhelming odds they faced. "They think destroying Earth will stop what we've started. They still don't understand that ideas can't be bombed into submission." She activated the command channel to Earth's combined defense forces. "Implement Defense Protocol Labyrinth," she ordered, "and prepare Project Pandora for full-spectrum deployment." As Earth's defenders moved into position, Elena opened a private channel to the integrated alien representatives who had joined Earth's Defense Council. Crystalline Nesdali, methane-breathing Korthal, silicon-based Lithosians, and a dozen other formerly subjugated species. "The moment we've prepared for has arrived," she told them. "The Council of Seven is coming to witness firsthand the power of cognitive diversity. Let's give them an education they'll never forget." Elena studied the Vraxian representatives across the negotiation table, noting the subtle shifts in their compound eyes that betrayed their discomfort. The peace conference had reached its third day, and the discussions had moved beyond territorial boundaries and reparations to something far more fundamental, the nature of intelligence itself. "Your analysis suggests our cognitive structure is an evolutionary adaptation," First Speaker Vorthak said, his translator rendering his clicks and whistles into smooth human speech. "But surely disorder cannot be superior to order. Chaos cannot triumph over harmony." "That's a fundamental misunderstanding," Eleanor replied gently. "We're not suggesting human cognition is superior, merely different." She gestured to the holographic display, showing neural comparison scans. "Your minds evolved for perfect consensus, creating a civilization of unparalleled stability and technological consistency. Our minds evolved for adaptation to unpredictable environments, creating a civilization of innovation and conceptual flexibility." Dr. Amit Sharma, now Earth's chief xenobiologist, activated a new holographic sequence showing the evolutionary histories of both species side by side. The Vraxian homeworld experienced minimal geological upheaval over millions of years. Your seasons changed predictably. Your ecosystems maintained stable equilibrium. In such an environment, cognitive consensus provided massive evolutionary advantages. Meanwhile, Eleanor continued, Earth experienced 5 major extinction events, countless ice ages, rapid climate fluctuations, and constant geological instability. Our ancestors survived by developing neural plasticity, the ability to rapidly adapt our thinking to changing circumstances. Third speaker Kiv Zoral leaned forward, her younger perspective making her more receptive to these unsettling concepts. Then our conquest of other species was the natural extension of your evolutionary path, Elena confirmed. You sought to create order throughout the galaxy, to extend the stability that defined your success. And until you encountered humans, every species you conquered shared your fundamental cognitive framework. They differed in degree, not in kind. The crystalline Nesdali representative, whose name translated roughly as harmony in diversity, contributed to the discussion. The Vraxians did not recognize the value in our differences because they could not conceive of different types of order. They saw only chaos, where there was merely unfamiliar pattern. The holographic display shifted to show the complex neural interactions now occurring across the former empire. Diverse species communicating and collaborating in ways that would have been impossible under Vraxian uniformity. The visualization revealed something beautiful emerging from the apparent chaos, new patterns of organization that incorporated multiple cognitive approaches simultaneously. Look at what's happening now, Elena said softly. The Lithosians' crystalline computing interfaces with Nesdali collective awareness, augmented by human, adaptive problem-solving and Korthal environmental sensitivities. Each cognitive approach complements the others, creating possibilities none could achieve alone. First speaker. Vorthax's compound eyes shifted through complex patterns as he absorbed this perspective. For the first time in the negotiations, his mandibles relaxed from their defensive posture. Perhaps, he admitted, reluctantly, our definition of order was incomplete. Elena nodded, recognizing the profound significance of this concession. That's the first step toward a new understanding. The universe doesn't divide into order versus chaos, but contains many different types of order. Some fixed and crystalline, others fluid and adaptive. The true potential of galactic civilization lies not in forcing one pattern upon all minds, but in allowing each mind to contribute its unique cognitive gifts to our shared future. Secretary General Elena Reyes stood on the observation deck of New Harmony Station, watching the arrival of the latest diplomatic delegation. The Braxii methane-based entities from the Galactic Rim had finally agreed to join the Confederation after centuries of isolation. Their crystalline vessels pulsed with complex light patterns that represented their unique communication system. One more cognitive approach to add to the Confederation's growing diversity. Another success for your Cognitive Diversity Initiative, remarked Ambassador Kiv Zoral, once the youngest member of the Vraxian Council of Seven, now the chief representative of the reformed Vraxian territories. Her compound eyes had been surgically modified to process multiple visual perspectives simultaneously, a symbolic and practical embrace of cognitive flexibility that would have been unthinkable before the war. The Braxii were particularly hesitant, Elena acknowledged. Their temporal perception operates on a different scale than most species. They experience millennia as we experience decades, which makes them invaluable for long-term planning, Kivzoral noted. Another piece of the cognitive mosaic. Below them, in the station's grand concourse, representatives from 78 worlds mingled in a vibrant display of biological and cognitive diversity. Crystalline Nesdali communicated through light patterns with silicon-based Lithosians. Methane-breathing Korthal shared environmental insights with aquatic Moraean diplomats. And everywhere, human representatives facilitated connections between disparate cognitive approaches, linguistic bridges between fundamentally different ways of thinking. Elena's communicator chimed softly. Admiral Chen's weathered face appeared on the screen. The maiden voyage of the Concordia was a complete success, he reported. The integrated command crew performed beyond expectations. The Concordia represented the culmination of Chen's vision for interspecies cooperation, the first exploration vessel with a command structure specifically designed to leverage cognitive diversity as a strategic advantage. Its crew included representatives from 17 species, each contributing unique perceptual and problem-solving approaches to create a whole greater than the sum of its parts. Any unexpected challenges? Elena asked, knowing that such unprecedented integration wouldn't come without difficulties. Chen's expression softened with amusement. The Lithosian navigation officer and the human tactical specialist had what they called a philosophical disagreement about the nature of four-dimensional space. Their debate led to the discovery of a new FTL calculation method that's 30% more efficient than our previous approach. Productive conflict, Elena noted with satisfaction. Exactly as the research predicted. As she ended the communication, Elena turned her attention back to the observation window. Beyond the docking bays, the vast spiral of the galaxy spread in breathtaking splendor. Somewhere out there, other intelligences awaited discovery, perhaps some with cognitive approaches beyond anything yet encountered. The true legacy of humanity's unlikely victory wasn't conquest or domination, but liberation. The freedom for each species to contribute its unique cognitive gifts to a greater whole. The quarantine that once contained Earth had transformed into a nexus for unprecedented interspecies cooperation. The Council of Seven believed absolute consensus was the only path to advancement, Kivzorel observed, her voice carrying the harmonics of philosophical reflection. We could not have imagined that embracing cognitive diversity would create such beauty. Elena nodded, watching as the Braxi delegation emerged from their vessel to join the grand concourse below. That's the hidden truth we discovered through conflict and almost missed. The universe doesn't want uniformity. It thrives on difference, and in those differences lie possibilities beyond what any single form of intelligence could imagine alone.